Thank you for being here with us this morning. I am so excited about this Q&A because it provides the opportunity for you to give your feedback. It also your question and concern. So I'm so grateful to have that opportunity to be in front of you and address some of the great questions that I have here in my hand. Now, those questions, I'm going to address them, and they might be your question. But if they are not, remember that we're going to allocate some time in this session for your question. So, of course, Jackie will be able to read your question and we will be able to address it. I don't want to let anyone out there hanging without their answer. We also have a time limit, of course, this morning. Everything is recorded for you to review the answer to those questions. But if you have not the opportunity, or you have another question coming up along the way and you're like, I wish I would have asked this, remember that you will have the opportunity to send an email to our customer care, to contact us and ask your question. We want to be able to have that continuous feedback and communication, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to start with the first question here on my list, which is very interesting. I really like that question. It mentions, so what is the specific to the bone density about this particular series? I understand that it's great for toning, muscle, and bone building, but what is it based on? So this is a great question. Now, power plate vibration increase blood circulation and that neuromuscular activation. So the program has been built to be safe and inclusive for any participant, whatever their age, their level of fitness, their health goal, right? So most exercisers are new to whole body vibration training, and they may be new to physical activity altogether. So like any new modality of exercise, we want to be safely integrating that new activity to the rest of your daily activity living, right? So for this reason, week by week, we are adding difficulty to the exercise available in the program, right? While the vibration and the time of exercise stay the same. Now, what is it based on? Well, Wolff's Law, which is actually that researcher that found that bone density cycle, Wolff's Law states that your bone will adapt based on the stress and demand placed upon them. So when you work your muscle, they put, it puts stress on your bone. And in response, your bone tissue remodel and become stronger. So there's many case study and research that show that neuromuscular activation we need and provided by vibration. So that's where it's based on. We build those exercises again to be safe for all levels. So that's my answer for this one. What else do we have? This one is also important. Most of you have asked this question. We emphasize the importance of spending equal time with and without exercise. So, that equal time of work versus that equal time of rest. Yes, the program is showing you the usage of your remote. So, some of the model, like your power plate move, can go on 9 minutes nonstop, and maybe some other modality of exercise you will be able to do on nonstop. But for this particular program, you see me using my remote after each exercise to re-engage the vibration. So it might not have on the video a timer, a rest time, right? But you can actually pause the exercise and even take more rest depending on how exerted you are after each exercise. So it is a great question. And yes, I might not have exactly 30 seconds between exercise, but definitely stop the vibration and reset for the next exercise at that same level of second, 30 seconds. Now,
Sylvie,
yes.
really quick, someone just asked if you could repeat the name of the researcher that you had just referenced.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm going to spell it for you. It's WOLFS apostrophe S law, LAW.
Oh, Wolf's
and there
Law.
is, yeah,
and I'm typing in the chat for typing in the chat for everybody too. And I'm also going to just take notes based on what Sylvie's saying and put them in the chat.
No, great. Yeah, great question. And I think we do have a video showing that animation, which is that adaptation that the bone has to that neuromuscular activation. So great question. So I think I was on question 3. This is also a great question. I would appreciate to better understand the danger of overdoing vibration, overtraining. This is a concern for any exerciser. It's not necessarily just for this program. So, but the program offers 3 sessions per week. What does that mean? That means that at least you're going to have a full day of recovery between sessions. It gives you the opportunity to have even more than 1 day recovery between sessions. So we are not equal in front of this program. We're going to have clients that are going to be within their 50s, and then we're going to have clients that are more in their mid 80s, right? So I'm giving you the opportunity to do the 3 sessions per week, but some of you may start with just 1 session per week, or maybe 2. So remember that the CDC, right, is establishing that an adult that is 65 and older need at least 150 minutes per week of activity. What does that mean? That means that it's at least 30 minutes for a week of 5 days, let's say, right? So you're gonna have your day of rest, but during those 5 days, about 30 minutes of physical activity, right? So, and at least those days, those 2 days need to have strengthening components. So not only walking, but it needs to have certain load on the body. So we are, with this program of 3 sessions per week, in a very safe scope, okay? So 4th question. Oh, yes. So I'm interested in understanding better the use of the different frequency and amplitude and time. So this is a great question because, you know, our model offers those different vibration level, whatever it's a personal or a move or a My5. So like every training program, you can progress your training program by increasing the number of repetition, right? So if you're doing a strength conditioning, for example, using traditional weight, you can do more repetition as you are progressing in your program. The other factor you can modify is the load, right? The amount of resistance you place upon the body. So this is how we have built the program. For the first 6 weeks, you notice that the difficulty of the exercise is ramping up. But most of my activation exercise, which is the phase where the muscle is contracted and using the vibration to contract more. This phase is about 30 seconds on that default setting. Because another question some of you ask, what is the default setting of my machine? It is the setting that is coming up when you power on your power plate. So, you know, when you turn on that power, you have already a setting that is set up in your machine, and that is your default setting. On your power plate move, it is that one light, which is 30 hertz, low amplitude for 30 seconds, right? So here, at the end of your 6-week program, you learn the exercise. You're trying to get a great proper form. At the end of 6 weeks, workout 3, you're going to start again, week 1, workout 1, and now have the possibility to modify those repetitions by increasing your time of vibration, right? Meaning if I was doing 30 seconds of a balance exercise, like I do at the beginning of the program, you can now challenge your body to 60 seconds. And if you realize this is a normal progression, I'm now familiar with each exercise, I have done them once, and I can now safely challenge myself to be at a longer period of time. So the 30-second increase to 60 seconds, right? With the same resting, right, component. So you see it, you understand now why during my video, I'm not exactly equal work and resting time, because you're using this video as a tutorial for those safe exercise, okay? So what happened once I have completed again those 6 weeks, right? You're now 12 weeks in exercising on your power plate. You go back to week 1, workout 1, now very familiar with your exercise, having built a better endurance, and you can now increase your level of vibration. So if I'm doing an exercise on one light, 30 seconds at a low amplitude, I can now challenge my body to go to 35 movements per second at a low amplitude. This is no different than having a 5-pound dumbbell and suddenly moving on to 8 or 10, okay? I want you to realize that. So ultimately, you have the ability to use those safe exercise as tutorial, and moving on 6 weeks after 6 weeks to increasing either your rep or your level of resistance on your power plate. So I hope this is helping you understand, you know, the pause, the usage of your remote, which is very important here. Remember, you have the power plate move that has this ability to be on nonstop, but we're not using that functionality here. For this particular program, you will need to use your remote. All right, I'm moving to, oh, this is another one that I hear a lot. Can one use straight leg while standing on the power plate? Why slightly bending the knee? So remember, there's an optimum position when we are on power plate, which I mention often in my video, which is we want you to have a comfortable level of vibration to the head. Vibration traveling to the head is not dangerous. It's just uncomfortable for most of the exerciser. Now, we also want you to have a pre-tension on your muscle when you are using power play. Meaning when you're bending the knee, versus standing bone on bone, if I stand like this with my knee straight, I can probably stand for a long period of time here because I have the assistance of my muscle, but also my skeleton system here, right? My bone is stacked up over each other. If I make you slightly bend the knee and load your body weight towards the ball of your foot versus loading the heel, I'm now already creating a pre-tension on the muscle. And it's that pre-tension that I want to tap in when I'm on vibration. Because remember, as soon as I turn on those vibrations, I have more muscle working more often for less period of time. Why loading the ball of the foot? I've got that question as well. We have underneath the feet, traveling in the back of our body and attaching in the front of the skull, a fascia line that is well known called the superficial fascia line. So you can Google that one. There is great video showing you the pathway of that fascia band. Now, a fascia band is like a huge elastic tissue band, right? So when you load your heel, you have a tendency to create a pathway to where the vibration follow that tension. and the tension and in the front of your face, because that's where that band attached, the front of the skull. So what I'm merely doing here is allowing you to, one, bend slightly the knee so you can engage more muscle here, and having also a core engagement, shifting the body weight over the ball of the foot without raising the heel, right? Because we don't want you to be like ballerina here. We just want your center of gravity moving to the ball of the feet, allowing you to release that tension on that fascia band. So, but again, I want to repeat to you that vibration traveling to the head is not dangerous. It's just merely most exercisers don't find it comfortable when doing balance exercise or any other exercise. I'm continuing on question 6 here. Oh yeah, so I noticed in the strong bone program, some exercise are rotating. Example, we do a few leg exercise standing on the power plate, and then we moving on to the floor using the static strap. Yes, because again, like every other program, I want to teach you certain skill before adding task. So I'm going to take the example of this participant, which is, yes, I am making you do some exercise on the power plate and then move to the floor to start using the static strap from the floor. First, I'm giving you a breather for the legs to rest a little bit. So for sure, alternating is that's the reason. 2, I want to teach you how to effectively use the static strap to stimulate upper body first from the ground, because it is a little bit challenging. I think you experienced it, right? When you have that appropriate position here, and for 30 seconds nonstop, you need to keep that muscle engaged, have the proper form, slightly bend the knee, engage your body nonstop for 30 seconds. And I'm sure some of you out there have been holding their breath. So listen to me. I want you to have my voice into your ears when you're doing that exercise. Breathe, right? Don't hold your breath. Well, all those skills take practice. There is a learning curve to it. So you're going to notice within the program at one point, once I establish that you have worked all those different movements that we do with the strap, that you have mastered them from the ground, I now invite you to do them on the power plate. So we're adding that, upper body stimuli, we're adding it now to the full body stimuli of doing those exercises on the plate. So it is merely to, allowing you to have that learning curve of efficiently using the strap and allowing the muscle that are engaged on the power plate to get a little breather. But you're building through the week that resistance. So I assume that at one point you are ready to do those exercises on top of the power plate.
Sylvie, I have 2 questions that came in.
Yeah.
The first one is I'm looking for a demonstration of when you use the static strap. Sometimes with the personal, because I've seen you demonstrate this, sometimes the personal is not heavy enough, and so you're pulling it. So, and I've watched you. If you could just give a demonstration of what you do with the move, and then I'll move on to the second question.
No, that's a good feedback. Remember that the personal model is great because I can put it in my luggage, travel with it, but you need to adapt to this great component of being light and movable, and you can travel with it. You need to adapt it to this particular move. So I am, imagine that this is my personal. When I'm doing this exercise, I'm gonna want to ground my personal, which is light, about 30 pounds. Hey, and 30 pounds, it's still already a lot of pound, right? So when you're doing that tension on the strap, if you manage to lift it up, good for you. We're having a great neuromuscular activation. But I want you to be able to keep that muscle under tension in the optimum position, right? So 90-degree angle in the elbow is also very important. Why? Because when we're doing that stimulation here, when you work with weight and doing a dynamic movement, when you here, you're resting. When you are here, you're resting. Your work phase is about above 90 degree, and below 90 degree. That's where you engaging the most. So that's why I want you to have a right position, allowing you, because you're different height out there, allowing you to adapt the length of your strap to your height and making sure that you have that proper position, which is my elbow is about 90 degree, close to my midline, and my wrist is aligned with my forearm. Once I have done this, you can, on your personal, ground it with one foot, right? So I'm keeping the handle of the strap over the attachment on the power plate. I'm grounding my power plate here with one leg, and I'm pulling, focusing on my upper body here, pulling on the strap with a good posture. I see a lot of you looking down at the timer. No, don't look down at the timer. The vibration will stop eventually. So stay focused on your form, right here on your form, looking forward, having those shoulders down, and then keeping that tension on the strap nonstop until the vibration stop, and breathing the whole time naturally. Okay, so yeah, that was a good information, because it's true that the lightness of the power plate personal require a little modification on those movements.
And I have a second question. Thanks. It's I understand the differences in the low amplitude settings. Do the high amplitude settings just increase the difficulty of an exercise, like moving from a 5-pound weight to a 10-pound weight? Or does the research show that high amplitude is better for something else, like massage?
So that's very interesting, because if you're doing massage, and I mentioned that in some of my video, when I'm doing massage, my muscle is completely relaxed. I don't have any tension, whatever lengthening those fiber, whatever contracting those fiber. I really want you to relax. So most likely, if I'm going to mimic the tapping technique, you know, that some massage therapy does to stimulate blood flow or lymphatic system, which is what we are mimicking with the plate. We're not replacing the hand of an educated therapist, absolutely not. We're just trying merely to maintain, if some of you are getting those massage, great for you. We're trying to maintain the result of that treatment, but it is moving this way. So of course you can imagine that if I'm trying to increase blood flow in an area, having a small tap is less efficient than having a big tap. However, we are not equal in sensitivity to vibration. The goal of that massage is to keep your muscle relaxed, disengaged. I have some clients, when they are doing this massage with a higher amplitude, the reflex is to contract their legs. And you can see it. If they stay at a high amplitude, their legs is contracting, and we are maybe not having the most effective massage, because the whole point of having a massage is keeping that muscle relaxed and be able to recover. So I want you to be in charge of your body and listening to your body when you're doing the massage. You can feel the tension. You can feel if you cannot relax your hip, for example, and let your feet slightly, fall to the side, but ultimately you will be able at one point, as you're getting familiar with the vibration, to get to that higher frequency, to that higher amplitude. Now, yes, when you are working on the power plate and you suddenly have a higher amplitude, think about an earthquake being 3 on the Richter level or 8. Obviously, there is more instability, and if you feel a vibration, your reflex in your body are much more with a higher amplitude than a lower amplitude, right? So the whole point here is to be able to safely guide you through exercise that are efficient and safe for every level out there, whatever you're starting at, and then slowly giving you a pathway to progression. So I'm moving on to the next question. So in this question, it was, I'm following the advice also of one of my coach, meaning I am doing the bone health program and also want to exercise between session. Can I do this? So if you are, so hear me out. I'm giving you that resting time so you're not exerting your muscle using vibration and that contracting, that reflex, that reflexive contraction. But it is safe. Let's say you're doing on Monday your session on power plate, which has a warm up, an activation, and a cool down phase. Most likely, it doesn't make sense after you've completed that that workout to go to the gym and do a strength conditioning routine. So no, this day that you're doing really focusing on working your body with vibration, that particular day, you're not going to do an additional strength conditioning session. It wouldn't make sense. However, Monday, I'm doing my session. Tuesday, I'm doing my warm up on my power plate. And maybe I'm doing a yoga class. Maybe I'm walking with my dog or running or biking. You can do absolutely that. Remember that CDC requirement. Did you or not today had at least that's 30 minutes, of activity, of movement, of strength. So that's where we're going here, right? We're going for that safeguard line. So if you are already involved in other activity, I would be smart to focus on my program for the day. And then the day of rest that you have, you can do that session, either with a trainer or another activity you may do.
Sylvie, here, I just want a clarification of what you had just said. So if I'm doing the Strong Bones program session on Monday, it does not make sense to go to the gym and do another strength session. But if I'm doing the session on the bone program on Monday, does it only make sense on the Tuesday to do a yoga or walking or cycling, or can I also do a strength session on that Tuesday?
So again, remember, we're not equal in our daily activity. So I have clients that play tennis every single day. So they're going to tell me, oh, but I play tennis. Can I not do on the morning my bone health program session? Of course you can, right? We talking about here. Remember the movement we have here, very static, or they seem to be static, but remember, nothing is static on power play. There's no impact. There's no cardiovascular exertion. We are trying to keep the muscle engaged with the position on the plate to be able to provide you the maximum neuromuscular activation, because we know that this demand placed on the bone is what ultimately has an impact on remodeling and the tissue, right? So you need to look at how you're feeling. What is my exertion level? Everybody in their lifetime has said at one point, I maybe had done a little too much today or yesterday because I feel definitely sore or more tired. Listen to your body. That day is your day off. If you feel that I've got a little sore, I did a little too much, this is time for me to take a day off today, let the body recover. Now, does it mean that you're not going to use your power plate to do this fabulous massage that is going to be able to, bring that blood flow, relax and soothe the muscle tension? Yes, you can be my guest. If you are managing to relax and enjoy that massage, it's actually something you can use. Yeah.
And I'm going to add one more trick. where you'll 100% know that you've overdone it. And it works every single time. If after you've done a session and then on the power plate, you've done a program session and then you go work out, and after your workout, you want 3 candy bars or a huge bowl of pasta. If you become that really uncomfortable starving where you're trying to get your hands on any piece of sugar or pasta or really that glycemic load, you know that you've overdone it. You're trying to restore the energy back in your body. So that's what I always use to determine when I've overdone it. I know I want sugar, I want pasta, I want everything. What Sylvie's saying in terms of go with your fitness level, it's one really great trick to be able to monitor yourself. If you want to eat, that's fine. If you want to have what you normally have, that's fine. I'm talking about that insatiable urge of, I want a huge bowl of pasta or candy. Then you'll know that, hey, you know what? I need to rest.
Yeah. Also, I had some questions. It's not on my list here, but people have asked me. It's really odd because I'm used to a soreness when I exercise, maybe in the gym. But on power plate, I feel that, I'm not in that state. We are not looking for pain. It is a misconception that you need to injure your body to get results. Okay. You might want to be able to feel that burn. And let me tell you, as safely you learn to do those exercises and start challenging your time or your frequency on your power plate, you will be able to feel that challenge during the exercise, right? You may have experienced it already, but soreness comes from that production, that overdoing in the muscle, right? The muscle it has a lot of bypass product, right? That has been built by that overtraining. And now you need to eliminate that and you need to replenish your muscle to be ready for the next session. So I always say, I don't want to feel sore that I have to skip one of my sessions. This is not the goal here, is to give you a pathway, to give you a tutorial on how to use your power plate for the rest of your life. And having this great added value to your sedentary lifestyle or your poor posture or your fitness goal. So this is really here what we're trying to establish, your partner for life. Okay.
Love that.
I'm moving on because I know we have a limited of time and I know those people have addressed those questions. So I want to make sure I'm going for this. Again, here's you see, it's coming again. Do I need to rest between exercise? Should I rest more than my working time, right? So hear me out. Look at this exercise. It is an hamstring stretch right there, right? I'm elongating the fiber in the back of my legs to bring more mobility to my hip. Now look at that other exercise. This is a push-up, right? Again, if I'm doing those two exercises for the same amount of time with the same amount of vibration level, right? Which one do you think is going to maybe require for me to have a longer period of rest because of the exertion? One of this exercise has the goal to lengthen the muscle, stretch that muscle, allow the joint of your hip to have a better mobility. The other one is meant to increase the contraction of that muscle, the endurance of that contraction, and ultimately giving you good stability into your shoulder. Very two different exercise with very two different level of energy requirement and level of rest. So I'm letting you in charge here. You can feel during some of those exercises that are part of the activation, maybe a requirement for longer period of rest, while when you're stretching and just warming up, preparing for your session, you can probably have a less amount of rest, okay? Now, it is important that you have at least that 30 seconds of stimuli, because we know that's what's creating a change in the tissue. So this is a great exercise, because we're calling a great question. We're calling exercise every move, but some of them are very different with a very different outcome. Can we do power plate reading every day? So I mentioned this. Or do I need to necessarily have any other day? And again, can I do another physical activity? So I think we addressed that one, right? And I understand where those questions are coming from, right? This is a new modality. You may be active and have done exercise all your life, or have never exercised, and suddenly you realize, I need to start something. And it's never too late. I really need to emphasize this. The research have shown us adaptation on your muscle, your bone, your tissue happen at any age. There is no limitation on when I start. The limitation is only, can I do this move with my current condition? Yeah.
And everyone should know, I'm not a trainer. I am nowhere near the amazing physical shape that Sylvie's in. I do use my move every day. I really listen to my body. So for example, sometimes I will have a really frustrating meeting, and there's massive neurological benefits to the move. It really gets you in a good mood, and you only do, and for the day, I will only stand on it on the third light for 2 minutes. And that's how I used it for the day. And it immediately can put me in a good mood and get me out of the frustration. So that's just one quick example of listening to your body, and how I would say, yes, I use my move every day, but that really was only 2 minutes for a neurological benefit.
Yeah. I do, a little comparison with everything we do in our life for hygiene, right? We learn at a young age, you need to brush your teeth, right? You don't have to change the way you brush your teeth all the time to be able to still benefit from brushing your teeth. Here, some of you may really enjoy the stretch and the massage every day, and are going to have enormous benefit from it without doing the same amount of activity and activation that some other clients are doing, because they're already active, because the body requires that amount of stimuli. So again, the exercise part of the program need to be inclusive. We didn't want it to create something for only the elite out there that are suddenly experiencing a bone health issue, or, you know what I mean? We didn't want it to be exclusive to certain type of client. We wanted something that everyone could do safely and confidently, saying, you know what, I can do this. After your first session, week 1, workout 1, you should feel good that you have achieved the session successfully, that I'm not setting you for failure, that you are feeling confident and better at the end of that session. And that is my goal in this program. And you notice that at the end of the session, I bring the chair and do the foot massage, removing the socks and shoes, because I realize some of you will do the training with their shoes, and some of you used to work barefoot will do it barefoot. But I wanted everybody to experience the massage on barefoot, because it is a great benefit to stimulate those little nerves, and it feels amazing. So I had some feedback, because, question is great, but I need also to share some of you positive feedback. Some of them discovered that they could do that with our power plate, and absolutely do it every day. And it has helped them to little by little start doing some of the stretch exercise barefoot. So congratulations to you out there. If it is you that sent me that feedback, I love it, because that's what it was meant for. I had other.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Oh, please keep going. I just got a question, so please keep going.
Yeah, no. But I was saying, so some of the people had used the program to really learn those stretches that I do at the beginning as a warm-up and integrate them in their daily activity living. They're on the morning, they're doing those stretch and notice that they're less stiff during the day, and they have learned those exercise, because after 6 weeks or 12 weeks or even longer, 18 weeks, you really know to do those exercise correctly. Yeah, go ahead.
The next question, resting between exercise doubles the time and our time for workouts are limited, and our time for workout is limited. Is it okay to do a different non-vibration exercise in the time between the vibration exercises, such as working with weights?
That is interesting. So, but we agree that absolutely you could, I'm doing my warm up, right? I'm going to do my stretch, my hip, loosening up my hips and everything. And then I'm going to go here and do my routine of biceps curls, squat, and so on. Now, remember, if you're doing this, the activation phase on my power plate is it's gonna have to be mindful, right? So if you want, because you don't like the strap, or you feel that you're getting a better outcome with your dumbbell, or you're just familiar with that movement, right? You feel more comfortable. You can grab those dumbbell, consider that time being the time you would have done that exercise, and follow along on that next exercise in the program if it is a squat. You see what I mean? So yes, you could play with that program this way. Just be mindful of the time spent on vibration. Most of the time we say 30 minutes, because again, we want to stay into that scope of 30 minutes of activity that the CDC is suggesting, and you will be safe, right? Yeah.
Perfect.
And ultimately, remember, I had that other question, right? Which was, can I work with weight resistance on the power plate? Well, yeah, if you use to do that, at one point, remember when I'm doing the exercise on top of the power plate, using the strap now to do that biceps, activation for the upper body. Now, remember, when you work with weight, you're resting here, right? So you're still going to get the benefits of vibration traveling along your body. You're still going to get the benefits of that muscle pre-tension that you're creating with your weight. But remember, it's now a dynamic movement where you have a resting phase, work phase, resting phase, work, right? So just be mindful of this. Yeah. But those are great questions. I love your engagement. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, great. I've asked if anyone has any other questions. You can always direct message if you have something a little bit more private, but I'm glad that we got through them. The other thing that is important to say is you can always reply to the emails with any questions that you have. Sylvie has always been able to make different videos, make different presentations. She has an entire YouTube channel that has all of her workouts that I know people are constantly viewing, constantly engaged. They're very popular.
Yeah, and your feedback is amazing. If there is something you have not seen and you want to be able to have that video or addressing that particular concern, please giving us that feedback help us providing the content that matter to you.